Hi, I'm Jordan Trosclair, and thank you for watching another episode of Business Spotlight 225. Today we're interviewing Adam Pitts with BuyerSpire. Let's go check him out. So Adam, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started with BuyerSpire.
Yeah, so I've been a real estate agent here in Baton Rouge for the past 5 or 6 years, and during that time in the industry, really just noticed that although as agents we did a really good job of sharing all of our listing information and leveraging that listing information for our sellers to generate interest in their properties, as agents we didn't have any resources available for us to help us share all of our buyer information. And as a result of this lack of a resource, as agents, we would tend to just resort to, creating a private page on Facebook where we might share information with a few other agents or something like that. But we didn't actually have a legitimate resource for us to use to help us match our buyer information.
Very interesting. So I know with like the Facebook page, you might sit out there and say, hey, look, we're looking for a buyer for this listing, or we have a buyer that's looking for this such and such house.
Yeah. The
relevant content ends up going down. How does your page actually differentiate from something like that?
Yeah, so through BuyerSpire, when an agent registers, there's really two main functions that as an agent you'd be looking to do on the site. First would, of course, be to register a buyer that you're working with. Once you register that buyer, they're saved in the system. And so once they're registered, another agent may go in and input a listing that they currently have or an upcoming listing. And at the moment they input that listing, they get notified that you have a buyer match, and you also get notified that such and such agent has a listing coming up. And then those two data pieces are saved, and you'll be automatically notified every time a new listing comes up or a new buyer gets input that may match a listing that you had input.
Very cool. Now, what area do you specialize this in? I mean, how far does this reach?
Currently we're in Baton Rouge. There's really nothing that's prohibiting us from launching in New Orleans, which is something we're looking to do in the next few weeks. And we've also talked about launching in Houston as well, as a result of some of the changes to the market that they have over there as a result of the flooding that they had recently.
And tell me a little bit of how this is different than the MLS.
So there's a lot of similarities. Of course, MLS is simply, if you really break down MLS is a list of every homeowner that has agreed to work with an agent to sell their property. And BuyerSpire at its core is essentially a database of every we hope it to be of every buyer that is actively working with a real estate agent to purchase a property. And if you think about just simple common sense, when you're sharing both pieces of information, because every transaction as a seller, every transaction as a buyer, and when you share both sides of that puzzle, you're able to make those connections a whole lot more quickly.
I see that this is a great way for agents to really leverage their listings and also their buyers. So tell me, when someone finds a buyer on BuyerSpire, what is the next step?
Yeah, so for an agent, for an agent to find a buyer on there, their next step would be to reach out directly to the agent that's representing that buyer. Built into BuyerSpire as well, we do allow a portion of public accessibility, so that if you were a seller, statistics tell us that sellers start thinking about selling their house 3 to 5 months before they ever actually list with an agent. And so there's a little bit of question, well, how do you find the seller when they're thinking about selling? So we allow sellers to input the address of their property and just a little bit of information about it, and then they get a list of the agents that are working with buyers that may be a match for their property, and they can reach out to those agents, and then we provide that seller's information to the agent as a listing lead that they're able to reach out to and see about listing their property for sale.
Very cool. Now, so where does an agent go to start getting on BuyerSpire and posting up their listings and matching their buyers?
Yeah, so you can go to buyerspire.com. That's buyer and then spire, S-P-Y-E-R .com, and there's this little button you click, sign up as an agent, and from there it's pretty easy.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate the interview.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
I'm Jordan Trosclair, and if you'd like to have your business spotlighted, you can contact me direct 225-715-9014. Thanks again for another episode of Business Spotlight 225.